You may have heard that it's now called FedRAMP Certified and that there's FedRAMP Class A, B, C, and D instead of FedRAMP authorizations at low, moderate, or high. These are some new terminology updates that FedRAMP dropped to reduce confusion about how FedRAMP performs authorization or certification and how an agency performs authorization. So the goal of these changes is to reduce the confusion. You can let us know at the end of the video if you feel like it's actually reducing confusion or if it's making it more confusing. But these are to help you understand what FedRAMP certification means and what agency authorization means. It gets into some of the government legal processes, but it's important to understand if you're a cloud service that's going through the FedRAMP journey. So at a high level, FedRAMP authorization will no longer be used as a term. Instead, we'll use the term FedRAMP certification, and it'll be a FedRAMP certification process instead of a FedRAMP authorization process. The result will no longer be a FedRAMP low, FedRAMP moderate, or FedRAMP high authorization. Instead, it will be Class A certification, Class B certification, Class C certification, or Class D certification. Now, the existing FedRAMP low, moderate, and high map up with Class A, B, C, and D such that Class A is FedRAMP Ready or a pilot state, Class B is FedRAMP low, Class C is FedRAMP moderate, and Class D is FedRAMP high. Ultimately, the agency determines the impact level of an information system, both because the agency assumes the risk of using that information system and because the agency is the only one that knows the type of data that will be stored in that system and can thus perform an impact analysis of the data being stored in the system. What this means is that one cloud service might be used by many different agencies, but each agency knows the data that will be stored in that system. And so FedRAMP can't authorize a cloud system for use at a certain impact level across all agencies because they don't know the type of data that each agency is going to store in that cloud system, and they can't do the impact analysis for the agency to determine how bad things would be if that cloud system was breached. Ultimately, the agency assumes the risk, but they also are the only one that can accurately determine what impact level that cloud system should be authorized at, which is why the authorization is ultimately at the agency level, not at the FedRAMP level. FedRAMP's role is to have a standardized, reusable assessment process, which enables the agencies to more easily perform risk assessment of information systems before they're authorized for use. This is important to understand because FedRAMP cannot authorize a system for use in an agency, but because the term FedRAMP authorization included the word authorization, there is a common misconception that if something was FedRAMP authorized at a certain impact level, that meant that any agency should authorize it for use at that same impact level. This is not the case. So you can be FedRAMP certified at any class. You could be FedRAMP certified at Class A, which is equivalent today to just FedRAMP Ready, but you could be authorized for use at a moderate impact level in a specific agency. It's up to that agency to perform the risk assessment based on your FedRAMP package and ultimately decide if that system is appropriate to be used at a moderate level of impact for that agency. And so this renaming from FedRAMP authorization to FedRAMP certification will help cloud service providers and will help agencies understand that there's a clear distinction between what FedRAMP certifies and what an agency authorizes, and that those levels are not necessarily a one-to-one where if I'm FedRAMP certified at a certain level, that means every agency should accept me at that certain level. That is a misconception of how risk is handled in the federal government. The other updates to know about is that FedRAMP Ready will officially be retiring, and all FedRAMP Readies will transition to a Class A certification. In addition, all of these updates about the agency sponsor paths and the Class A naming will go into effect with the consolidated rules for 2026, which will be published by the end of June 2026 and will go into effect December 31st, 2026. I hope from watching this you've been able to understand a little bit better why the term FedRAMP authorization is changing to FedRAMP certification. If you're kind of confused by this, it's good to note that you're not alone. In the actual legal language that defined FedRAMP, the FedRAMP Authorization Act, they called a FedRAMP authorization, quote, a certification that a cloud service has completed a FedRAMP authorization process. So those terms, certification and authorization, have always been mixed up, but always in the language of the legal text, the FedRAMP process has been a certification. And that's why that term certification is being used. FedRAMP has never been able to authorize a system for use at an agency, FedRAMP only goes through a certification process that says we've completed this assessment, and then it's up to the agency to use that FedRAMP package to perform the authorization to operate, the ATO. So I hope this clarified. There's no legal changes being made here. It's just a terminology update to help people understand the distinction between what FedRAMP can do, which is certify, and what an agency can do, which is authorize a system for operation. If you have any questions on the specifics of these new terminology updates, or if you've watched this video and you still feel confused by the updates, feel free to reach out to us here at FedRAMP. We're happy to help you understand and navigate all these changes as you go through your FedRAMP journey.